Coming to you from beautiful downtown Santa Rosa, this is the Backstage Sonoma podcast. And now, here's your host, Steve Roby.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Backstage Sonoma. I'm Steve Roby. I'm excited to welcome Eric McDonald, the masterful guitarist and mandolinist and vocalist from the folk trio Kalos. Known for its seamless blend of Scottish, Irish, Scandinavian, and North American traditions, Kalos takes listeners on a journey filled with rich maritime tales, driving dance rhythms, and pastoral melodies. This trio is touring in support of their current album Headland, which marks their first project released under the name Kalos. Coming up, we'll explore Kalos' Headland album and learn what makes their live performances so captivating. Eric will share stories behind standout tracks like Fare Thee Well and Fanny Vanilla and give us a peek into what fans can expect at their upcoming show at the Raven Performing Arts Theater. Let's start the episode with a track from Headland. This is Grasshopper Spiff by Kalos on Backstage Sonoma. That was Grasshopper Spiff from Kalos. It's a song from their current album, Headland, which is available now. I'm Steve Roby. This is Backstage Sonoma, and my guest today is musician Eric McDonald from the trio Kalos. Hey, Eric, welcome to the show.
Hey, Steve. Thanks so much for having me.
For those who might not be familiar with Kalos, can you describe how the trio came together?
Yes. Through the music scene and a string of connections, I met Ryan, our fiddler, at a Scottish festival, and we actually formed a duo. I had invited him to sub for a band that I was playing with at that time, and just before those gigs happened, the other member of the trio dropped out for personal reasons, and so it ended up being just Ryan and I, and we performed, and it went great, and we kind of found that musical spark, so we kept it going as a duo for about 4 years, and when we made our first record, I had known Jeremiah, our accordion player, from a fiddle camp that we both teach at. And Ryan had known Jeremiah from some gigs out in California, actually. And we both have known Jeremiah's music for many, many years. So it was sort of a no-brainer for both of us to invite him on. We just felt like it was a simpatico fit. And it turned out we were beyond right. And once Jeremiah came on, then it was just a trio. And we've been making music ever since.
Great. So the group Kalos has a mix of multiple influences that set you apart from other groups. How does that mix set you apart?
Yeah, it's definitely a mix of influences. We all have had various musical backgrounds. Ryan studied viola performance at USC. I studied mandolin at Berklee College of Music. Jeremiah studied at the New England Conservatory. So we've all studied various styles of music in school. But I think more than that is that we've all just had a lot of musical experiences. And what I think makes us different in what we do as a quote unquote traditional music band is that we don't really subscribe ourselves to any one thing. So we take all those influences and, kind of let them speak for themselves through our music. So we like to say we actually play a lot of our own music that's sort of, you could say it's rooted in all of these traditions and these styles that we've studied. So we like to say what we do is called Celtic roots. And I think that, compared to somebody who might be a French band or an Irish band or a Swedish band, that's what kind of sets us apart. We're all kind of bringing all these influences together. And what we're really trying to do is just express music together, the three of us. And that's kind of, I think, having all come from traditional music backgrounds, we're allowing ourselves that freedom. And obviously, through the music we've studied, a lot of traditional elements are going to be present. But mostly what we're doing is just creating our own stuff.
Nice. Yeah, it comes out great.
Thank you.
So let's talk about the name of the group Kalos. It's not Celtic, right? What's it mean? Where does it come from?
It's a Greek word, actually. It's a Greek word that means something that's great, or I think it also has a sort of a philosophical meaning for the pursuit of beauty. We don't currently play any Greek music. We may yet, but one of the reasons we chose that is not to choose a name from a specific tradition that we play so that we would be subscribing ourselves to that. So this name just kind of spoke to us. The meaning behind it is sort of what we try to do together. So it really fit us.
And I've got the pronunciation correct, right?
You're one of the few, actually. Yes.
I did my homework.
Very good.
Kalos draws heavily from maritime traditions across different regions. How did each of you first connect with these musical influences?
For me, my family was involved in folk music, and I started listening to sort of contemporary singer-songwriters. That's what was my entrance into music. And then that led me to bluegrass and old time. And that's what I was sort of playing mostly in college. But what I discovered while I was there was something called contra dancing, which all three members of Kalos have done extensively. And that's an American form of folk dance that borrows from many different traditions and sort of creates its own melting pot style. So you get exposed to lots of different traditions. And for me, that was very much kind of how I found my way into Irish music, Scottish music, Scandinavian music, a lot of the traditions that we draw from.
Sure.
Ryan, I know, grew up studying at the Valley of the Moon Scottish Fiddle Camp in Boulder Creek, California. It's near Santa Cruz.
Okay. Yeah.
It's the camp run by Alistair Fraser, who's sort of a visionary Scottish fiddle player and has sort of been instrumental in bringing the music to America. So Ryan was very inspired by that and the people that he met there, which are still peers of ours, wonderful players. And that, I think, set him on a path. And, sometimes this world is kind of small. Even though we all subscribe to one tradition or the other, we all cross-reference so much, especially while traveling, while touring, playing festivals and things like that. So we've all kind of absorbed various different pieces from the people that are inspiring us, and I think just through the musicians that we met, one thing about the three of us that drew us together, and I think this is true of most musicians, but it's just been very true in our case, all the projects that we've been part of through our musical careers, they may have been one style or the other, but really why we ended up being in them is because of the music, the playing music with the people we were playing with. So the simpatico relationships that we've all sought as musicians that we've kind of found now with Kalos has put us into different scenarios. So Ryan, I know, was playing in an Irish band called the Humours. I played in an Irish band called Daymark. Jeremiah has played in a French band called La Bon Vent. And he's played gamelan music. Like all of these different influences through our experiences have really just been through seeking a musical spark, basically. And being inspired by all these traditions kind of adds to that.
Let's talk about your songwriting process. So what's it look like for Kalos? Do you approach it collaboratively, or does each member bring their own ideas to the table?
It's extremely collaborative.
Okay.
So everything we do is all together. We all share ideas. Obviously, it will start from one person often, but then it certainly doesn't finish that way. I think we've even, there's songs that I've been singing for a decade that I brought to the band recently, and now we're doing them entirely differently. So it's a very experiential process for us. We do a lot of kind of analyzing, trying different things out, bouncing off of each other. Our arrangement process is at times arduous, but also kind of what we hang our hat on and what we love to do together. So it's very collaborative.
I'm going to play another track from Headland, and I hope I get my French pronunciation right. Fanny Vanilla and the Kerry Polska medley. It's a song that's captured listeners' attention. How does this piece come to life, and what's its inspiration?
Well, the first tune was written by Jeremiah, and it's a fast waltz. Jeremiah has played a lot of French music. I think the French name he chose is kind of just meant to be kind of silly, because in keeping with what we do, he wasn't aiming to write a French waltz. It just kind of came out that way. So he called it Fanny Vanilla, which just means, Fanny Vanilla. Means nothing really.
Okay.
And then the second tune is a polska. It's a contemporary Danish polska written by a musician that we've gotten to know and been inspired by, named Rune Barslund, who plays in a great band called Inver and plays in a great duo with a fiddler, Andreas Tophoy. And he wrote this tune as a Scandinavian nod to Irish polkas in a way. Well, I'm not sure if that was his intention, but at least he named it that way.
Wow.
So this set for us is two tunes that are both in 3 meters that have very different feels. And we kind of juxtapose those two feels together to create something that we felt was kind of lively. And, we love both of these tunes. So
that sounds like a lot of fun. And let's hear it now. This is Kalos doing Fanny Vanilla and the Kerry Polska. And you're listening to Backstage Sonoma. That was Fanny Vanilla and the Carrie Polska, a track from the current album Headland by Kalos. I'm talking with musician Eric McDonald from the group today. Hey, Eric, let's talk about the album Headland now. It has a solid connection between natural landscapes and bodies of water. What inspired the creation of Headland with those themes in mind?
No, it was kind of a reactive name to the music we were making. It's sort of like the first solid representation of the three of us together. As I was saying earlier, the way we arrange and style together. We did that very intensively. We made this record shortly after the pandemic lockdown, and it was the first time we were able to get together. We did 2 sessions. We did a creative session and then a recording session. And so much of this music, was brand new at the time and came to be. So it was a very intensive experience for the three of us. And through that process, especially during the time, it sort of had this kind of surreal feeling almost. We were very deep in it. That was one of the things that sort of led us to choose the name Headland, which is the point where land meets sea. And we sort of think of it as a dreamlike space. So the music was sort of feeling that way for us. And much of what inspires our music can be nature. In particular, there's a couple of numbers on there, such as Allan Water, which is an air. It's in 1700. It was first published in 1700 in the Playford collection. And it's a Scottish air that sort of, for us, kind of represents the natural landscape of Scotland, and that just kind of naturally made its way onto the album. And it wasn't the only one, so it was only kind of fitting that this kind of landed. It sort of meant as a dreamlike representation of musical expression.
What would you like the listener to take away after they hear the album in its fullness?
I really hope they just enjoy it and that it sparks some thought and some feeling. I think for us, what we were trying to do, I think back, the three of us playing together and being musically inspired together, I think back to experiences when I was a kid, where music kind of hit me in a subconscious emotional way. That's what us making music together does for us. And so by proxy, we certainly hope it could do that for the listener. If it does, we've done our job.
Nice. Well, let's play another track from the album. This song is called Fare Thee Well. It's one of the standout tracks. Can you share a bit about the story behind this song and what it means to you personally?
Yeah, well, this is actually a traditional ballad. It's a lullaby that's been sung for hundreds and hundreds of years. It's something from a collection called the Child Ballads, which is a collection of folk songs that was collected or credited to Francis James Child. I always liked about the song is, as a touring musician, I have a family at home, and I always used to kind of think about the lyrics when I was on the road. So one time I had this little guitar riff, and it sort of came out, and I brought it to the guys, and this is what we got. So it's definitely kind of it's a hopeful parting song, and that's the way I like to think about it every time I go away. Might be a little cheesy, but that's the way it is.
Okay. Well, let's play it now. This is Fare Thee Well. This is Kalos on Backstage Sonoma.
Fare thee well.
You just heard Kalos performing Fare Thee Well from the album Headland, and Eric McDonald is my guest today. Eric, can you share one or two career highlights that have stood out for you while in Kalos and started performing together?
Yeah, absolutely. Our first tour of California, actually, in 2019, late 2019, was extremely invigorating. And just the act of, for the first time, getting up on stage with these guys, having arranged this music spontaneously and playing it in front of people for the first time was very freeing. We've all played many, many gigs. Jeremiah's been doing this for 45 years, Ryan for 30, and me for 20.
Wow.
And over those years, we've all had great musical experiences. But this is the first time for me where I felt like what we were doing was very much from us. And so getting up on stage and sharing that and having that be reacted to by the audience was extremely invigorating, and that hasn't changed. So I would say that first tour of California, where I first had that experience that set me on the path with this trio, would be one of my career highlights with Kalos. We kind of went up and down the coast, which was really also, it adds to the beauty of the landscape, added to the majesty of the tour as well, for sure. And actually, Healdsburg was one of our favorite stops. There's a barn there that some friends of ours own. We've played it about 4 or 5 times now. And we had a friend in Santa Rosa that was going to do a house concert, and his house burned down in the fire. So he connected us with these folks, and ever since then, they've become very good friends. And these barn parties that we play there probably once a year, we won't this year because we're going to play at the Raven. But I'm hoping that all those folks come out and share that energy. These barn concerts have just been an absolute joy. So many musicians come out, and local folks who work in the wine industry, and just folks who live there, and we kind of bask in the majesty of the landscape and great music and just have a wonderful time. So we're really hoping that energy shows up at the Raven, and we're looking forward to coming back to Healdsburg. That's definitely a career highlight.
Nice. I understand that Kalos never performs a song the same way twice. How do you keep your performances fresh and dynamic while staying true to your roots?
We don't try, I think.
It just happens.
Yeah, I hope. I mean, of course, we all put. That's a little unfair. We put lots of effort into what we do, but I think that the staying true to our roots is something that happens organically, and the not playing the same thing twice is just us literally reacting to each other.
So you just mentioned your upcoming show at the Raven Performing Arts Theater in Healdsburg. What can fans look forward to at this concert? Do you encourage dancing? Any exciting things you want to announce? Maybe something different in the set list?
For sure. Well, we do encourage dancing. Absolutely. There's lots of moments in the show for dancing. There's lots of moments in the show for listening. You're going to get a little bit of everything, and it's going to be a party for sure. And what we're going to be offering this time is definitely a good representation of that dreamlike space that we were talking about earlier through Headland. And also, we're currently working on a new album that we're going to record in the spring. So we will be playing a decent number of tunes from that and music from that. And we're pushing ourselves a little bit with this sound. And we have a producer, Jan Falquet, for this album that we're very excited about working with. He plays in a band called Janticorum, and he's a wonderful Quebecois musician. And he's been sort of giving us some feedback, and we've been incorporating that into our creative process. So what you're going to get is, what we're kind of going for is to stay true to ourselves and create an even wider spectrum. So you'll get some poignant songs, you'll get some high energy dance tunes, you'll get everything in the middle. But it's going to be a mix of new stuff and old stuff. So that's it. It's as a band, that's a really exciting place to be, you know?
Yeah.
Right now would probably be my favorite moment. And then right after the next album comes out will be another great moment for us, you know?
Okay.
But this, in terms of the show, it's lively, it's sparky. There's new stuff, there's old stuff. There's things that we don't play very much anymore that sometimes make their way in. So it's an exciting place to be for us as a band, having been touring now for 3 or 4 years, letting all this kind of flow out into this body of material. So hopefully that reflects on the audience as well.
Yeah, it sounds like a fun evening. And let me remind our listeners, Kalos will appear at the Raven Performing Arts Theater on Wednesday, November 20th. Showtime is 7:30 p.m. And you can find tickets right now online at raventheatre.org. Theater is spelled THEATRE.org. Also, be sure to stop by the trio's website, KalosBand.com, for their latest tour and music info. And just to make sure you got the website right, it's KalosBand.com. and go there and check it out and support this great trio. Hey, Eric, before I let you go, you just mentioned you got an album in the works. When can we look forward to it? Have you got a working title?
The title is yet to be found. I think we like to kind of name the album after it's done. That's something that, so unless the name were to inspire the music, but that hasn't been the case yet, so we're going to let the music inspire the name. But we're definitely going to have some new instrumentation. We're expanding our instrumentation a little bit, which is exciting. Maybe some electric guitar, some pump organ, things like that. So that'll be some exciting sounds. We're definitely some ethereal sounds that are getting on there that we haven't had quite so much before, as well as some kind of really driving high energy, maybe some dark high energy music.
Ooh, that sounds exciting.
There's some uplifting high energy stuff as well. We're going to record it in April, and you'll be hearing about it before then and after then, and for a while to come after that.
Hey, Eric, thanks so much for stopping by the show today, and have a great show in Healdsburg.
Thank you so much. It's been great talking to you. Thanks for having me.
I'm Steve Roby, and we'll be back in a moment.
Hey musicians, would you like to be a guest and promote your upcoming concert and latest release? It's easy. Just email the host at backstagesonoma@gmail.com. Now, let's get back to the show.
Thanks for listening to the Backstage Sonoma podcast. Join us next time for more great interviews and music from local and touring musicians. You can find us on the web at backstagesonoma.com.